Hey, welcome. I'm Drew Barigi and this is Smart Tech. Today we have quite amazing content for you on the show. And we are going to look at the robotics firstly, but in regards to the children. Alex Shaka, a passionate developer into the world of technology, decides to venture into the robotics, but in particular concentrating on the kids. He says once kids are exposed to the robotics programming, they think fast and can solve problems for the society. I'll be right back.
Global demand for artificial intelligence has doubled in the past few years than never imagined before. Robots are becoming increasingly popular in the manufacturing industry, and according to experts, this demand is not cresting anytime soon. The substantial advancements in technology have spurred this period of robotics growth, with robotics companies constantly innovating new software and robotics features, along with accelerated robots production with increased payload capacities and improved reach. Who knows how far the industry might extend in the next decade? Alex Shaka, a passionate developer, has decided to venture into the robotics space in partnership with a foreign-based tech company, Altech. In particular, he has specialized in robotics for the kids, purposely to enable the kids obtain the ability to think and solve society problems and challenges. Alex believes robotics are relevant to societal transformation, urging the society to embrace this trend.
It has in Uganda. If you go to the schools, especially international schools, you'll find that they have clubs, and we run some of those clubs as Codifact as well, because we run robotics clubs. So there's been an adoption of even just, especially when COVID started, I think there was this awareness of tech and its importance after COVID. And then, so when you kicked off with the clubs again in schools, there was a lot of expectation from the school authorities on what they wanted. There was a lot of awareness of what they wanted the learners to be exposed to, and robotics came up a lot. So that's why we decided to partner with a company called Altech in Japan to get a franchise to do this in Uganda and ultimately do a competition. But before we get there, the whole purpose really is to first of all, the world is not going, it's already there. As in, tech has permeated every aspect of our life. And robotics is very crucial because robotics makes life a lot easier, especially for mechanical things. You've seen robots running trains, robots managing our homes, factories are full of robots. So you're going to see a lot of that in our everyday life, where robots are designed to do the manual tasks that people do. So that means robots will take away that time that would have been spent doing manual tasks and instead focus on things that take us forward as humans. So robotics is everywhere in our cars, robots are in our cars, in our fridges very soon, in our kitchens, everywhere. So it's important that our children understand what they're about, but also understand to build them and program them to do what they want them to do, and also to demystify it, to remove the fear, to feel like that thing is just for Europeans, we can't manage it. Just to remove that, create, and when you start early, then the kids grow up knowing, normalizing it, and also creating curiosity. And research has shown that when a child is interested in tech, and especially things that involve solving problems, everyday problems that they see around themselves, even their grades improve in other subjects, because they learn how to think critically, to think about a big problem and not be overwhelmed by it, but actually break it down in smaller parts, so that they can solve it. So those are the things that we focus on. And so when we're running our clubs, we're running robotics, yes, but they're also learning how to actually build them and program them, And through programming, they're using programming languages. They're learning how to write commands, and break down problems and solve them step by step. And through that, definitely, as a young child, your brain grows. the brain starts to grow. It's still growing. Those are very formative years. So the brain grows to be able to understand, to be comfortable around solving problems and thinking about things critically. So that's the importance, really. And then from there, hopefully we shall see people who really take it to another level, do amazing things, and that's what we all hope for.
How has been the journey for Alex to finally achieve this?
The journey has been long, but interesting. To me, and that's why they say when you do things you enjoy, it stops being work. So even I said coding practice started about 3 years ago, but prior to that, I worked as a technical curriculum developer for a company where I learned so much about learning. Learning how to learn, especially in the tech space and building technical curricula and things like that. So when I realized I could actually do it on my own, and help a lot more people, and actually because I understand the context, I live in this country, I know the challenges, I know the barriers of a lot of people to get into tech, so I figured I could bring that context in and through Code Impact do so much mentoring children and introducing tech early, so that and by the way, when I talk about tech, I'm not saying I want everyone to be a computer scientist. No, technology is everywhere. If you're an agriculturalist, if you're a doctor, if you're an economist, understanding tech, appreciating it will help you a lot in your own job. You can build tools, you can build, your own things that will help you make your job easier, because tech is in every aspect of our lives. So introducing it early and demystifying it was really a huge motivation for me. And yes, there have been some challenges. The journey has been long. Usually during the pandemic is when it really picked up, because parents were with children at home and didn't know how to keep them busy rather than staying on Netflix and TV all day. So a lot of them reached out to me, and we started doing online learning because we couldn't meet physically. So I saw that grow. So I decided to kind of focus on that, like stop everything I'm doing, focus on that, and build the business. I've always been passionate about mentorship, beyond even just the technical things, just having someone hold your hand and show you the way makes life a lot easier. So there have been some challenges, yes, and the biggest challenge really are the tools. So the tools, so just removing that barrier, laptops, tablets, robots, all these things are very important for us to be able to do our job, but to also reach underserved communities, because underserved communities, especially the youth, in slums, in villages maybe where they don't have internet connection, just being able to work with other stakeholders can take us to another level, can make us reach those areas. So that's one of my biggest challenges, because really my motivation was not only to focus on the children who can afford it, but but really the ones who can't. Those the underserved communities I'm talking about. So, but we're in the process of working with stakeholders to make sure that we remove all those barriers. And the beauty about something like software engineering, you don't need much, just need a laptop and an internet connection. You're only limited by your imagination. So if you can just learn how to think and solve problems early, you don't need much to start. But in Africa, even that little can be a lot, to be honest, sometimes. So the biggest challenge, I would say, the barriers to entry, and we're working very hard to make sure.
Let's have a brief demonstration of building a simple robot. This time around, it's a simple traffic tower. Remember, it's robotics for the kids.
This is an interesting section of the curriculum. So here, and these are the things that you do out in class. So here are the pieces. And here you're shown what to fix where and mainly on this unit. So if you see these different pieces, for example, there's this piece, which is the LED. What's that? Right? If I remember my physics very well, So there's this, So this is the green light. So this will put out the green light, and then of course there's a cable, which is a sensor connecting cable, which will connect. And you have to be very careful because they're a bit delicate. So you push them in carefully, and there's a way you push it with this gray wire facing this side. So it's very important, So you can see where you connect it. it's already connected for this one, already, and the LED, the green one, so the sensor is connected. And then we have the red one, yeah? Because usually, so today we're going to just focus on green and red for the traffic light, yeah? So the idea is to have the green light, yeah? And then when it's about to go off, blink maybe 5 times, and then the red comes, yeah? And ideally red should also blink before green comes, so that's it. So these get connected here. But today it's going to be a little bit more interesting in the tower, yeah? Because traffic lights are usually up there so people can see them properly. Yeah, so again, everything is very clearly demonstrated how to do it for this one. So to be able to program that, we shall use an IDE. So in programming, an IDE is an integrated development environment. And here we use Scratch, but this program is called Arduino. Yeah, and she uses visual blocks. Visual blocks are very important because children are very visual, and they won't be able to write code, as you can see here it is, but actually when you're moving the blocks behind the scenes, the code is being written. But as a programmer, as you go through and become an experienced programmer, you'll be writing something like this. Yeah. But for kids, this works perfect because they can just move around blocks. Yeah, you can see I can move this one here. I can just click it. You can move it to the canvas. So this is your canvas where everything happens. So all these things are programming concepts, loops, conditional statements, all of stuff, good stuff that programmers use. Yeah. So next we're going to fix the tower. Before we go to the tower, let's fix these LEDs onto the motherboard, if I might call that. So we have to make sure that let's start with green, and you can see here green goes into A0, yeah? And always make sure that the gray is close to this green. So this paper is very important. Easy, so that's it. That's how green connected to it. So here they're telling us the red light plugs into A1. So this is the red light. So that plugs into A1. Yeah? And make sure that the gray is so we have our 2 lights set up. Yeah? As you can see, very important, very clear instructions of where the green light goes, where the yellow goes. Yeah? So be sure to plug in your cables correctly. Your parts won't work if they are plugged in backwards. Make sure the gray wire is in the same place as shown in the picture. So if you're use blocks to build your signal. Yeah. So we're going to use blocks. Yeah? The visual blocks I told you about. So I think to make it more interesting, you can put a tower. Yeah? You can fix the tower here. And then you can try and fix these other lights here. Traffic light tower right there, yeah? Just like you see, yeah? So now, what we need to do next is setting up our software, our development environment, to make sure it is set up very well. But remember, we have to make sure that this USB cable is connected to your laptop or computer. So, like that. And then connect it also to the port here. Oh, so you see that red light inside the shoe. So remember, you have to tell our Arduino. Remember, our Arduino is a development environment. What parts are connected to it, and you tell it by actually going there and connecting. Yeah. So we first have to set up the ports. Remember, the ports A1 and A0 we set up. Yeah. So if you go to edit, yeah, port settings. I should be able to say that A0 is where that is connected, yeah, and A1 is also an LED connected. So we've connected 2 LEDs to the motherboard on A1 and A0, yeah. Okay. As you can see. Then plug in studio test mode. We've already plugged it in. And then we need to connect. So by connecting, you're changing the mode. So here, remember when you do this, you have to apply. Otherwise, if you don't, then the changes will take effect. Yeah. So apply. So that's connected, and then you can connect. So if you see on the screen, showing shifting to test mode. Yeah. Yeah. So that's connected, right? So if it's connected, you should be able to light. You can see it lighting here. You can do it again. I'll kind of talk through this. I just want to test it. So it blinks before red comes in. Yeah? And then the same process continues. So what I'm trying to demonstrate here, and this is just a simple demonstration of what you could do, yeah, with this. For example, traffic lights. Even with traffic lights, you can do so much. You can add the yellow lights, do interesting things with it. But most importantly, what we're trying to teach a child here, if we go to a club, for example, is to make sure that they understand how to make this whole logic work. Follow instructions. Very important to learn as a child. Yeah? Then understand the problem. What's the problem in front of you? Yeah? Okay, I get it. Understand the outcome. What is the end result? What does it look like? What should it look like? Yeah? That's why most programmers usually need to have a sketch and different like that, so that you should see the ultimate outcome and work towards it. Yeah? And then where do I start from? So that's why you find, for example, if you go back here, these are just showing you how the lights work. Yeah? That's why it's important that every step is taken differently, yeah, and ultimately everything comes together. Yeah? So being able to break down a big problem into smaller chunks that you can solve individually and eventually bring everything together. So that's why all these blocks, and here I've already programmed them, yeah, so I won't go so much into them. But for example, if I can say repeat twice. So if I say repeat twice on this block, I'm saying loop through twice. So in programming, a loop is a very important construct. Yeah? A loop is a piece of code that you use to go through items. For example, it could be like your cart, like a shopping cart. Yeah? How many items are there? You can use a loop to know how many items are there, and maybe do some other calculations about that before you have the ultimate thing. So that's why it's important for them to understand those programming concepts. Yeah? Apart from things like breaking it down and understanding the different parts and bring it all together, then you go now deep into those bits. What do they comprise of? So those are loops that you can see here. Numbers, number of times. So if I click it again, it should be able to do this loop just twice. Yeah? Because I'm just saying repeat twice. I put 12, it repeats 5 times. Yeah? Yeah, I feel like that's it for now. But you can see each block also has to be programmed. Yeah? So that means each unit has to be properly programmed. For example, this is on, this is off. Yeah? If I do that, then what happens? And also being able to understand that you can tinker with it beyond even the instructions that have been given to you by the manual, and do more. And encourage the children to be open. It's not brain surgery that someone is going to die when something goes wrong. No. The computer tells you where the problem is. Yeah. So by doing all those things, you learn also how to be calm when you're faced with a problem. Can I understand what the computer should tell me? Because it will show you exactly. Or sometimes a general area where the problem might be. Yeah. And then you go in there and tinkering and failing and learning and growing. It's really when you're showing your muscle, your brain muscle, to understand these things better.
Those were some of the basic steps of building a robotic system purposely for the children. Let's have a further look at programming the traffic light in multiple dimensions.
Yeah, so for example, like here, this is where the program starts, yeah? Like the entry of the program, yeah? So when you click here, it should be able to start showing. So if it's on, let's say on. So when you say on, that means you're switching this on. sure it's connected, and you have to make sure everything is connected well, otherwise it will not. So for now we're just putting on the red, yeah, because the red is in A1, that's why I have to make sure that I'm saying okay, turn the A1 on, yeah. And again, all this is here. Once you change the program, you click there to start, and then you can make your green LED flash 5 times, yeah. So you will need to add a part to your program that flashes the green LED on A0, yeah, every say half a second, yeah. But your program would be pretty long if you did this by adding more blocks and more blocks and more blocks, yeah. So that's where the idea again of the loop comes in. Instead of adding blocks, if you want it to loop 100 times, you can't add 100 blocks, yeah. So if it's twice, you can do twice, yeah. If you can say 100 blocks, I'd have said make this loop run 100, yeah. So on off should take about half a second. The program above, of course, the program will repeat by the LED flashing 5 times. You can do the same thing by clicking control. So again, control is this, yeah. If I can just remove these. This is the control. This is the control. Yeah. So just to explain the different parts. Yeah. So this is the loop. That's why it says repeat. Yeah. You can put any number in here. Yeah. And then when you put that loop around what you want to repeat, then it repeats that stuff many times. Yeah. So if again, the instructions are all right here. Yeah. So we have an LED. These are 2, and we are starting with the one in A0, which is this, and then we're saying wait 5 seconds before you turn on the other. So this is on, so this has to be off. So what this means is turn on, wait 5 seconds, turn off. So, and then we can say we want that to repeat 5 times, yeah? So again, see how you break it down, slowly by slowly. And so that will make your program shorter. Otherwise, we'd have to put 5 blocks. So start by programming 1 flash. Again, breaking down your problem. Start by, we're saying there are 2 flashes. Start with 1, make that work. Go on the second one, make that work. So you'll need to drag and place 2 blocks and 2 other blocks. Okay, so we already have a block here. Yeah? Let's just put it here. Also, if we can just make sure to check that it's connected. So our idea was what? Here, huh? To turn LED on, yeah? Then wait 5 seconds, turn the red on, and do that 5 minutes. I think that's what it's supposed to be. Half a second is. Let's try waiting 1 second. So you can see, you can think around with it different times. So let's go through again. Let's look at the picture below to see how you should change your blocks. Okay. So we have that. Okay. So again, drag another repeat block to your set, yeah, to turn the whole block on. So drag a repeat block to another set of blocks, and the silhouette will appear around them. Okay, so let's see. There you go.
What can the future look like if we embrace robotics in Uganda, most especially engaging the young children in the process?
The future is definitely interesting. I'm excited about it. There's no doubt. Because, I mean, if you go to countries where adoption is a lot higher than ours, it's interesting. A friend of mine told me he was in San Francisco the other day and he called for room service in a hotel and the robot showed up and, opened the door and he didn't even see it. Then he looked down and the robot was down there giving him a toothbrush or something, or toothpaste, but, wasn't in the room, So there's that, and also just to tackle a bit of some of the things that people are talking about, people are worried about, people are going to lose their jobs. So it's very valid, those are very valid questions. But we need to, as a country, as stakeholders, as business people, entrepreneurs, we need to start thinking about those things because they're real challenges. So that is where now skilling comes in, and reskilling, relearning, yeah? So every time there's a job lost, like 3 are created. Yeah, because if people are, for example, if you didn't have, if a robot was serving you at a gas station, yeah, someone needs to program it, someone needs to maintain it, all those things are very important. These are probably high-powered jobs, yeah, so that means people need to be trained for them. Yeah? Again, that brings in the purpose why we are starting early with the children, to expose them early so they can learn early, appreciate these things early. So skilling is going to be a big part of it. So we're going to see robots especially in manufacturing, yeah? We're going to see robots in, I saw something in Japan where there are restaurants with no people. I think Amazon has shops with no attendants. Yeah? You come in, you pick your thing, you pay for it, you don't even have to, you just, maybe pass your phone over something and then money is taken off your account and that's it. There are no shop attendants. Yeah. So there's a fear that people will lose jobs, and that maybe will be the immediate effect of it. But we need to start planning for it, and I see the only way out being skilling and making sure people understand how to build these things and program them to solve their problems. Yeah.
I hope you like that. I did too. Welcome to the second part of the show. But this time around, we are talking agriculture. Very few farmers lack adequate storage methods when they harvest their products. At the end of the day, some end up making massive losses due to lack of the markets to sell them off. Jotham, a man passionate about tech in agriculture, decides to find a solution. Farmers this time around can access customers easily, eliminating middlemen by the use of the web online application. I'll be right back. Enjoy.
Very few Ugandan farmers have the ability to employ stable and sufficient storage methods, which calls for access to a quick market for their produce as soon as they are harvested. Many farmers lose up to 48% of their harvest due to improper storage food practices. Uganda has a tropical climate, and crops oftentimes are lost to exposure at high humidity and temperature levels. Since the harvest is currently stored in the residences of the farmers, which are small mud huts with grass roofs, the ability to store the crops would avail the farmers the opportunity to sell their harvest at a low supply time in the market, yielding much bigger profit margins. The emergency of a web mobile-enabled warehouse is helping to defragment agriculture supply chain in Uganda and Africa at large. To the farmer, there is a time reduction from which the produce moves from the farm to the market, hence reducing post-harvest wastages, guaranteeing for their farm produce. With this technology, farmers will be paid significantly higher prices compared to when dealing with middlemen. At the warehouse, produce from the farmers is cleaned, sorted and packed to ensure quality and presentable produce and delivered to customers by friendly electric motorcycles and tricycles. The platform can also be used by other clients such as restaurants, hotels and individual customers to place orders of the different required items for customer consumption. Jotham Martin Wambi, the mind behind this creativity, explains the inspiration of this development.
The whole entire supply chain for agriculture is highly fragmented. Even away from COVID-19, without COVID-19, we still have a lot of inefficiencies for the farmer moving produce from the market, from the farm to the market. They're ideally dependent 100% middlemen. And these middlemen sort of run cartels. It's like a whole big chain of a cartel in the country, in that they dictate the price. The middlemen dictate the price to the farmer. The farmer, you as a farmer, you have made your calculations. This is my input costs, and the total cost of production is maybe price X. And so for me to make profit off this harvest, I need to sell my fruits at maybe price X. Now, you remember your whole supply chain is dependent on middlemen. So the middleman will come and tell you, you know what, I am giving you this amount of money. You don't want? It's a take it or leave it deal. And now for the farmer, they cannot leave it, because with the agro-produce that they are dealing in, they're highly perishable. So you only have a very small window to sell your produce from the time of harvesting before it goes bad. So you can't refuse the middleman's deal. So you have to just go ahead and take the deal. And so you find that farmers are putting in quite a lot, effort, resources, time spent, and yet they're earning very little out of what they're actually doing. And this is because there is a lot of middlemen. So what our survey, our research did is we discovered there are about 5 to 7 middlemen between each farmer to the market. So you'll find that there is, wholesale aggregators that go and deal directly with the farmers, and then they aggregate the produce. They go from garden to garden. We're getting item X, maybe we're looking for tomatoes. So they go from garden to garden, then they consolidate and move those to maybe an uptown center within that particular rural setting, and then sell them to another middleman, which middleman is going to transport them to, let's say, Kalere Market. And then when they bring Kalere Market, they will sell them to another middleman in Kalere Market who will distribute to vendors in Kalere Market. Now, all those are middlemen. So by the time, I'll give an example of a pineapple still. By the time you buy a pineapple from the market at averagely about 3,000 shillings, you'll find that more than 60% of that entire price is going to these middlemen, not to the farmer. The farmer probably let the pineapple go at around 500, 700 shillings. And so that was actually what inspired us. So we tried to create a system that can be able to defragment the whole agricultural supply chain. How can we facilitate, how can we use technology to facilitate fast movement of produce from the market, from the farms to the market. And of course, we know that Uganda grapples a lot with high post-harvest wastages. A lot of it, and I think that's one of the government goals, Ministry of Agriculture, to make sure that there is reduction in that part. And so this is where we came up with a warehouse and then built a platform that can be able to consolidate the demand. Now, ultimately, we also want to automate the farm side.
Most farmers in the country largely practice subsistence farming, which has hindered their incomes. This is largely due to the limited awareness and the usage of the online-based services to enhance commercialization.
The first thing is on the farm side, on the supply side, who are the farmers? Now, the farmers are engaged in this whole chain as the primary stakeholders, right? The only challenge is they're not really aware of the potential of what they're actually doing. You're going to realize we've actually discovered that most of the farmers are out there doing farming, but they do not look at it as a business. They don't. You'll find someone is only growing pineapples or tomatoes or what to take their kids through school, and then after abandon it. And that's where the challenge is. So there's a lot of sensitization and awareness that needs to be done with these farmers. Some of these trainings that we've been privileged to have access to needs to go down to the farmers, because they need to actually understand where they stand as nation builders. They're primary stakeholders in this whole supply chain. Without them, Walimi would not exist. It would not do anything to do with agricultural produce. And of course, I would call upon everyone that has the capability to reach out to these farmers, maybe farmer groups, circle groups, so that we can advance this sensitization to show them that, look, what you're actually doing is a real business, and it's a huge business, and it has a lot of potential, and that if you just shifted your mind a little and your attitude a little, it could help you earn more.
Let's take a look at how this online warehouse works for those in need of its service, mainly for the individual customers.
All right, so the B2C side, which is individual customers, households, homes, all you have to do is just go to walimi.com, and under walimi.com you'll be able to see a catalog of different products that we sell. This is our landing page. We deliver, again you can see our notice here, we deliver using eco-friendly electric motorcycles. And so in here you can just add your products to the cart and be able to check out and you place your order. So the different payment modes, you can either pay cash on delivery, or you can do mobile money or Visa card or MasterCard or your debit card that you have. We accept all that. And then on the business side, is the one that is supplying hotels, schools, different institutions, factories, food making factories. And how you get there is when we sign you up as our customer, we reach out to you and then we create for you an account. Now when you create for you an account, you're able to have a portal where you can actually place your orders from. So this is a demo account. So let's imagine this is a hotel, right? For them to place their order, they'll just go to quick order form, and quick order form gives them the ability to order for produce in bulk without necessarily taking a lot of time. So the difference ideally between this and the one for B2C is B2C usually are not ordering quite a lot, whereas our B2B customers, who are the business customers like hotels, you find are ordering probably produce worth 5 million shillings in one go. And so if you just left them to use the B2C platform, it will take them quite a lot. So in here, you are able to just type in whatever produce you're looking for, and you will just be able to select it and adjust the number of kilograms that you probably want to be delivered. And then you will probably do that for, let's say, taking tomatoes. You choose the cherry tomatoes or the usual normal tomatoes, adjust the quantity, maybe you want 200 kilograms, and then maybe you can say you want rice, super rice, then you adjust that as well, maybe you want 500 kilograms. So you just keep doing that, and you'll be able to go ahead and place an order, create order here. The beauty is, this is not the only mode of purchasing that the customer has for B2B. They can also upload an Excel, and that Excel will design it for them and then give it to them to keep using for their own consumption. But when it comes to the point of ordering, they just upload that Excel in here. So ideally what we're trying to do is we're trying to automate their purchasing, their back office purchasing, so they don't have to select click a lot of buttons to actually place an order. And like I said earlier on, this is automating their back office. So this ideally is a role that the purchasing officer would have back then before Walimi. But now when Walimi comes, everything is being done on this platform, and which is the automation I was talking about. Upon placing the order, we are able to invoice the customer. And our invoicing system, which is a different platform, it's our back office platform, is able to automatically send an IFRS invoice to the customer. So we don't have to send them a scanned copy or send them an envelope to their address. Everything is just done at a click of a button, and this is a B2B customer. Yeah.
And now for the hotel and restaurant owners, this is how it works.
So if you're a hotel owner and we've reached out to you, we've signed the supply agreement, and you've given you access to the platform, all you'll do is you go to b2b.walimi.com and then you go to sign in. So sign in, you will sign in with the credentials we'll have created for you. These are demo credentials using the email address that you used to sign up and then the password that you would have set, and then you just click sign in. So at the point of signing, you're able to see an extra 2 tabs, which is orders. This shows your previous orders, and then quick order form. Quick order form is one that you're going to use to actually place an order. And so if a customer is, let's say, taking meat, they'll just type in meat and then select the type of meat they want, and then adjust the kilos, maybe kilograms. Let's just add another 2 products. Let's add pineapples, and let's say we want 30 pineapples for the day. And then finally we're taking onions, and we're taking about 100 kilograms of onions for the week. And so after that, we are going to go ahead and create an order. So create an order. Once you create an order, you'll be able to select your address, which you can set up from scratch, or you can select, if you've been ordering before, you can just be able to select from a drop down here. And then delivery address is also put in the system automatically when we're setting you up, so we know where the hotel is. And then you can select the date of delivery, let's say 22nd of June 2020. What's the mode of payment? We accept either an EFT direct to our account, or you can actually send us a check. So let's just select this, and then you come here and verify the quantities that you've placed. Onions, 100 kilograms, a kilo is at 4,000, that's 400,000. Pineapples, meat, which is beef, 50 kilograms. And then you go ahead and place an order. So if you have a purchase order number, which is usually at the point of signing the agreement, when the customer is signing up to become a Walimi customer, and I'm talking about B2B customers, business customers, so they can add the purchase order number here, and then enter any notes, maybe deliver before 9 a.m. And then you go ahead and place the order. So once you place the order, on our side as Walimi, we're able to receive a notification in our system that an order has been placed, and then on your end you receive a notification on your email as the customer that your order has been successful, and so it is being processed. And at the point of delivery, once you acknowledge and sign that you sign the delivery notice, then we are able to mark it completely side, and then you automatically invoiced by IFRIS, which is the URA system. Yeah.
Automation of the hotel purchasing systems encourages efficiency and also offers possibility of risk regulation. This also applies to individual households.
For most of our customers, during lockdown when we launched, they were having a lot of challenges going to the market to purchase items, and these were just individual customers. Now this is on the B2C side of the business model. And so when we started delivering to homes, we sort of helped them sourcing for produce without necessarily having to leave their comfort of their living room. And then for the business side, that's B2B, where we supply businesses, we discovered that most of the hotels usually use a rudimentary way of purchasing produce. Even 5-star hotels that in Kampala, sending a purchasing officer to the market, to the nearby market, to buy items, and this is almost on a daily, every week. You're giving the customer, the purchasing officer, cash to go to the market to buy items that they're going to use to to cook food. Now this is quite inefficient, and actually very, very inefficient for some of these hotels. And so what we've done is we've automated that entire process. There's no need for them to actually have a purchasing officer to go to the market. There's no need for them to incur the risk of, giving cash to the purchasing officer to run down to the market, because there are a lot of risks associated with that. And then, most importantly, we've directly integrated with IFRIS, which helps in the reporting of URF on their end especially. I think you've heard about IFRIS and what URA is trying to do and automating VAT collections and that. So we've done that for them. So they no longer have to face this risk of, I am buying from maybe the market and I'm having challenges with the market giving me an invoice. When you go to the market and buy something from Mama Mboga, you're not going to ask for an invoice. Definitely, they're not going to give it to you. And so what we've done is we've been able to automate this part. Of course, the biggest value that I think they have realized, and from the interactions we've had with them, is number one, the ability to be consistent with supply of produce. one of the challenges we're having before we launched was the fact that an individual can go to a hotel and say, hey, I can supply you with goat's meat. And the hotel is going to be very happy, like, oh, finally we have a person that can give us goat meat. Then the person will only supply for about 2 weeks and run out of goats. And so the hotel is now going to go back to the drawing board to find a new supplier. So they had a lot of such inefficiencies. So what we've done is, because we have a network of farmers, we're able to leverage that fact that we are dealing with numerous farmers. So if one farmer runs out of stock, we have another farmer who can be able to supply sustainably. And that's how we've managed to solve that reliability and consistency in deliveries. And then they're facing slightly lower prices compared to what they face when they go to the market. So the biggest realization for them was that most of these purchasing officers were actually inflating prices. So why? Because there's no way of tracking the price. So the purchasing officer will come and tell you, the general manager of the hotel, and say, maybe I'm buying a pineapple at 3,500 shillings. Now, there's no way of you proving that. And yet, in actual sense, they are probably buying a pineapple at 3,000 shillings. And the 500 shillings is theirs. And so there's a lot of revenue leakage for most of our customers before they became our customers. And that's what we've tried to remove. So the whole purchasing, procurement of agricultural produce has been automated. And of course, they're able to receive consistency, reliability of deliveries, on demand and timely deliveries, and of course fresh organic deliveries. One thing that we have also realized, and now this is I think to the general economy, in that we're using eco-friendly delivering mechanisms. So we use electric motorcycles to deliver our produce to both the business customers and the individual customers in homes. Why is this? Us as Walimi, we are a big beneficiary of agriculture, right? And we cannot engage in activities that hinder or limit the progress of agriculture. And this is use of maybe diesel engines, which emit a lot of fumes, maybe using Cavera, which again degrade the environment. So what we're doing is we're using electric tricycles, electric motorcycles to actually make our deliveries and quicken our deliveries from the warehouse to the customers. And the next project is to also use electric motorcycles to move produce from the farm to the warehouse. And those are some of the benefits that we've been able to offer.
Jotham further emphasizes the need to support the growth and development of the local startups by the responsible stakeholders, which is beneficial for the growth and development of the economy.
I would urge the government again, especially for the environment, to do with the general environment in the country, to do with startups. They need to find a way to actually offer support to some of these startups, because I believe that our nation, us as Uganda, we are hinged so much on these startups actually growing and becoming the next big companies, the next MTN, the next Stanbic, the next UBL, you get. Now, if you notice, the trend in Uganda is most of the big companies are foreign owned, right? And what does that mean for the economy? It means that money is flowing out as dividends. And that's why you see every end of year, which is 30th June, there's a lot of, the shilling and the dollar do not balance well. Why? Because a lot of money flying out. Because most of the big companies, most of the big taxpayers are actually foreign owned. And now this gives us an opportunity as Ugandans to actually grow our own companies that could scale and become the next big thing. And so there's need for, of course, the Startup Act that can also help regulate on how startups can operate, but most importantly, offer support. Sometimes I compare ourselves, Uganda, to our compatriots in Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria, and you find that their startup ecosystems are way advanced compared to ours. You'll find that there's even a government-run fund to just invest in potential high-growth startups. And so you'll find, on average, in Nigeria, if you started a startup, you'll have raised your probably first $1 million in the next 3 months. While for us here, you'll find a company which is 15 years old. That's not even supposed to be a startup. 15 years old, and they're raising their seed round of probably about $100,000. So there's government missing in this whole sector. It's causing a lot of challenges, and so sometimes I would call upon them to come and place themselves in this, be involved actively and see what is actually happening. And maybe out of that they'll actually be able to see the potential that we're dealing with here. Yeah.
And that's what we had for you this week. Keep watching Smart 24 TV. Andrew Barigi. Have a good bye.